Welcome, this is xger over at puremtgo.com, and you are watching Hour of Devastation and Amonkhet Friendly Sealed Friendly Sealed League, excuse me. And this is the second match in the third stage. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the best start for me as I get a one-lander, which is not very keepable. A two-lander is still going to be better probably than a 5-card hand, so I go ahead and keep that one. Luckily I have a forest on top to get me going. Unfortunately at the moment I don't have any creatures, but since I have half the spells in my deck, hopefully a creature shouldn't be too far out. I gotta match my opponent's Sidewinder Naga with my own, however I actually already have the desert to get that started. And my opponent just immediately kills off my dragon, which is fine. At that point I have the mana available, so it seems worthwhile to go ahead and just kill off the Sidewinder Naga. And I hit my 5th land, which lets me play the Decimeter Beetle. The attack here that he just did seems fairly obvious that he must have something, because if he didn't, he was just looking to embalm, I guess. And I was at a high enough life and I'm not concerned yet. So he gets a Desert Hold Down, doesn't gain the life, but it does let me just slap the counters on my now useless beetle. And I also left open the Ambuscade or Splendid Agony. So here, when my opponent goes to pump it, I can go ahead and just kill it in response and effectively get a 2-for-1 out of my opponent there. And for now I just continue leaving up another removal spell. I could wait, or I could have done that at the end of my turn, but since my opponent nearly tapped out, I can use the Ambuscade on my turn to get the extra point of damage in. Plus, even though I didn't know it at the time, but it does let me play the Bone Picker for 1 mana. So despite the early mole, my game is going pretty well here. And so I have a couple of options. I can go ahead and just kill his creature, or I can pump one of my creatures with the desert, which is what I go ahead and choose to do, as it forces him to just full-on chump block. And so I can get in for another damage. It's possible it was smarter for me to have done the other one, but I feel like putting it on the Exemplar gave me a little bit more outs, or a little bit more toughness to survive in case he did have a trick as his last card in hand. And here I attack with everything. He has a single blocker, so he's still taking 4 damage no matter what, unless he has something, which he did have Prepare, which is half a Prepare to Fight, but I had the removal ready to prevent the lifelink, and that is the game. And here we are at game 2. I have an acceptable starting hand, something spectacular, but I have the ability to play all the cards in my hand. I had an early creature and some removal, so I was fine with that. Drawing the Hooded Brawler is actually quite good, as it lets me curve out, and it's quite a powerful card. And of course drawing Ronas also helps there. I think here my opponent is just the deck's not cooperating with them very much. And I went ahead and exerted so that way I could get the damage through. They did have a pump spell, but again I have a removal spell, so I can just negate and get 2-for-1. My opponent there played a card that I actually have never seen played until this point, which was Leave to Chance, and to be honest I can't imagine playing that, as it just seems very mediocre. So my opponent ended up essentially just trading, they kind of 2-for-1 themselves there, in the sense that they get to save their creature, but they lose their pump spell. and they had to use another card to do it. So I'm a little confused by that action, but if they must have a hand without much creatures going on, so they feel the need to do something like that. And so here, putting down Ronus is the fairly obvious choice, as it lets me attack in for quite a bit of damage this next turn, depending on what they play. But my opponent has the Desert's Hold again. And here I just go ahead and clear out the flyer and just start getting in for damage. My opponent's deck seems to be very uncooperative for them at the moment, so just go ahead and take advantage of things as best I can at this point. And here they play the Rampaging Hippo. Luckily for me, and unfortunate for my opponent, I actually drew the Cartouche of Strength, which will let me just put it on Ronus and kill off the Hippo, which means I can then just continue getting in for my opponent and present lethal on the board. And at this point, they just go ahead and concede. Thank you, and I hope you come back for the next match.